Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue a conversation from last night. Last night on the Queen's Court, there was a great conversation about RJ Barrett and his role on the current New York Knicks team, and we're going to continue that conversation. I got Andy here. I got Uncle Fulio in the building. And we're going to talk about this, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to break it down and really dig into RJ Barrett and his role on this team this season. Andy, what's popping with you, brother? How you feeling?
What up, Sim? What up to you, Josh? And what up to the chat? Happy to be on. You know, it's a busy time for me at work, so I'm not able to be joining every show. But since we got a little bit less topics to talk about the Knicks, I'm happy I found the time to join you guys.
Yeah, glad you could be here. Josh, what's popping with you, brother? How you feeling?
What's going on, brother? What's going on, Andy? What's going on to the chat out there? Nothing but Knicks, always the #1 show. I'm very excited. Yesterday was a really good conversation. I know we hit a lot of different things, but I'm back today to defend myself. And I just want everybody to know that I do have a stance. I'm sticking by my stance, and I'm going to give you more how I feel today. So
okay.
Let's get it on.
All right, let's get it on. Let's talk about, before we even get into it, let's talk about the workout videos that we've seen from RJ Barrett. All right, we've seen videos of him working on his ball handle, working on his footwork. Right, last night after the Queen's Court, had a conversation with Who's Mark, Tony Crow. We had a good conversation talking about RJ Barrett and his footwork and why he doesn't compare RJ Barrett to some other players like a Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, or those type of players. Because he believes that RJ Barrett lacks the footwork. And I agree with him in some aspects of that. Right? I do believe that RJ Barrett needs to continue to build his footwork, and the better footwork he has, and this is for any player in the NBA, the better footwork you have, the more you're going to be able to do offensively and defensively. But RJ Barrett is still very young, right? Still very young. I see Josh already laughing, giggling, chuckling, got the Santa Claus chuckle. He's still very young. So he has time to grow and develop that footwork that I think for him may be more important than some other players. I don't even know if I want to say that, because I think it's one of the most important things for every player, but especially for RJ Barrett, because he's not uber athletic. He's not jumping over you and he's not blowing past you. So I think that footwork really does come into play. What have you seen from him so far with the limited workout videos that we've seen from RJ Barrett? What have you seen? I'll start with you, Andy.
Well, listen, we saw mostly offense of him shooting the ball, shooting off the dribble, shooting step back threes, which I think he will be adding to his repertoire offensively. When you were talking about the footwork, RJ, I think his footwork probably is above average as for an NBA player, but he's a little bit slow in that aspect. And, that causes him not to look great in the NBA as far as the footwork goes. The only thing that I'm happy about the footwork is that he doesn't lose balance off of it. Some guys, when they, even stand on defense and stuff like that, or get bumped on offense, they really lose balance and fall, to a side and easily get bumped and on their unbalance and they can't finish the shot off of those situations or play good defense. RJ doesn't lose balance, even if he gets bumped on when he's driving or when he's under the rim. He seems strong, and I attribute that also to the footwork and to the balance thing.
Yeah.
But the speed for him, the first step, it's not the fastest in the NBA, and I think he needs to work more on speed even at this point than on the totally things about the footwork. I think the speed is more important for the gaining on the defense. The pressure of the first step would be way easier for him to get the offense going.
Okay, and I really do agree with you about that balance thing. I think he does have great balance, which is one of the reasons why it's very tough to knock him off of his block. I think he has good lower and upper body strength. For a kid he's 21 now, for a kid who's 21 years old, I think he has very good upper and lower body strength, and he's just going to get stronger. You see the nice little sidestep he just did right there. You didn't see that in his repertoire really that much last year. That's where, those footwork skills, I think, come into play, allowing him to get free. Where I do agree that, we'd like to see him have a quicker first step and be able to blow past people. I don't know if he's ever going to be that type of a player, which is where those side steps, step backs, and different types of, footwork detail come into play, I think, for RJ Barrett. Josh, what do you think from what you've seen so far and what he's been working on this offseason?
Well, first of all, I agree with you guys. I don't think RJ Barrett is going to get that, ability to get past people in his first step. That's definitely a limitation for him. He can definitely work on it, but I don't think that's something that is going to be in his repertoire, but I don't think it necessarily has to be. We've seen players over the years that are not super athletic be really, really crafty with the basketball and still be able to get their shots off. My big thing for RJ Barrett is his aggressiveness at the rim. Like these dunks that you see RJ Barrett doing at the rim are a lot more powerful. He looks like a much more stronger body. Through the years, his body is just growing and getting more stronger. And you see him finishing at the rim. And for me, when you look at RJ Barrett last season, particularly in the beginning of the season, he was very, very indecisive at the rim. So he would, find those opportunities when he's at the rim, and then, he'll go up against, competition that might be his size, a little bit bigger than him, and he couldn't be able to score because he seemed to not be either confident or just lack that aggressiveness at the rim. But as you can see here, I know it's just pick up basketball. RJ Barrett is much more, strong and aggressive at the rim with the basketball. So that's something I'm looking forward to this season. I think RJ Barrett definitely is going to improve in that aspect, and I can only help him as far as finishing at the rim.
Yeah, and I'd like to see, the video right now that you're seeing, he's going straight to the rim.
Yeah.
And dunking it. And I'd like to see him do that a little bit more. I seen someone made a comment that said, looking at the video, and he's rising higher above the rim, his elbows above the rim. He couldn't do that in the past. I disagree. He could do that in the past. He just didn't do it.
Right.
Right. He didn't do it. I'd like to see him do that more. Get to the rim, rise up, and use your athleticism, the athleticism that you do have. Because I'm not saying that he's void of athleticism. He has athleticism, maybe not as much as some other players out there. But I'd like to see him use it more. Use it much more. But he has a lot to work on, we know, and he has a lot, a ways to grow, a ways to go as a player in the NBA. And we talked yesterday you guys talked yesterday on the Queen's Court about his potential, where you see him, what is his ceiling. We're going to get to that. But before we get to that, I really want to focus in on his role on this particular team. Right? So we'll focus in on the role of this team, and then we'll talk about some expectations for the season, and then we'll talk about his potential. All right, so let's just talk about his role, because now you know where Julius Randle is. You got Kemba Walker coming. We had a discussion last night. I had a discussion last night with Mark, and we talked about, is Kemba Walker definitely the second guy on this team? Or is it Evan Fournier? Or is it RJ Barrett? So where does RJ Barrett land within that group of players? When you talk about our top three players, is he in the top three? Or is he in the top four? Is he our fourth option? What is his role? What is the role that you see for RJ Barrett this year, Andy?
Well, this is a really hard question. One thing is we don't know what Tibbs is going to do, because Tibbs might set it up that way that RJ might be the second option, or might be the fourth option even, like you said. But for me, I think, and I was thinking about this. I think his biggest coming out games is going to be when one of these guys is going to be injured. Mm-hmm. No matter who, but from those top three guys, whenever someone goes out or is sitting out a game, I think that's the game that RJ is going to be playing a huge role, because he will need to fill the void on wherever aspect, the team loses, RJ is going to fill that because he's such a great overall player. Doesn't matter defense, offense, what kind of offense, if it's going to be slashing, shooting, cutting, taking mid-range jumpers. He can basically do it all. Not the best, on the team in those aspects. But, whenever a guy goes out, those shots are someone has to take those shots. And I think RJ is going to be filling those gaps majorly. So, as far as I see it, Julius might be the first option on basically every aspect. Then again, playmaking wise, it probably will be Kemba. Scoring wise, probably will be Fournier. RJ might be the Swiss Army knife that every team needs and is gonna fill out in every role that's gonna get open in a certain game. I'm not seeing that he's gonna be playing the scoring position, like the scoring, like the second scorer or the first scorer, each game, or is going to be set up that way that he's basically going to be taking a second amount of shots on this team. But it might happen some games, and I think those games are going to be on for RJ. Like I said, if someone gets injured or is going to be sitting out a game from those top three guys.
Josh, what do you think?
So on paper, at least coming into the season, let's say everyone's healthy. RJ Barrett would be a fourth option on this team, because I don't think offensively he's better than Kemba Walker, and at this point I don't think he's better than Evan Fournier yet. At this point, however, different things happen during the season. There's so many nuances that happen. Knock on wood, Kemba Walker's health, that could be a big factor in it. Who starts at point guard, how Evan Fournier fits in this offense. So many things can happen. And like I was saying yesterday, these players that are surrounding RJ Barrett can only make him better, right? He has a point guard now. He has another guy on the wing who can also get a bucket. So all that stuff is going to make RJ Barrett better. So and the chance that RJ Barrett tends to pop, I think that can shift it around a little bit. Maybe RJ Barrett can propel himself into that all-star level, which we're going to talk about. And then, we're having a different story. RJ Barrett's an all-star, Evan Fournier is not. So the second option on the team most likely is going to be RJ Barrett. So I guess it really depends on how the season shapes out and the different nuances that happen. But as of right now, on paper, you would think by looking at it, RJ Barrett is the fourth option as far as offense.
Okay, fourth option as far as offense. And I agree. I think he probably is the fourth option right now on paper until we actually hit the floor.
Right.
Okay. As the fourth option, what is it that you want RJ to do? So I'll start. One thing that I need to see from RJ, or want to see from RJ, is his ability to guard the best player, the best wing on the floor. Last season, that was Reggie Bullock. We don't have Reggie Bullock anymore. It seems like this year it's going to be RJ Barrett who has to guard those players. Can he do it? I'll start with you, Josh. Can he do it? Do you think he's that good defensively?
I don't think he's there yet. I think he definitely has improved on it, but I don't think he's there yet. I've seen his matchups against the Jimmy Butlers of the world and the Bradley Bills of the world, and it wasn't. Those guys are going to get their points anyway. So I mean, as far as a placeholder, I don't think RJ Barrett is going to be a better defender than what Reggie Bullock gave us last season. That's for sure. I think Reggie Bullock was extremely important to this team, and I don't think RJ can fit that role because I don't believe he has the ability to switch off like Reggie Bullock did in the Knicks defense. But can he play there? Absolutely, he can play there. He's definitely improved at it, but I think we are losing something based on what we had last season. We are losing something.
Right, and I do kind of agree there. I don't think he can be interchangeable. I don't see him being able to go from, guarding a three-man to guarding the shooting guard, and sometimes even a point guard Reggie Bullock would have to guard. I don't see that with RJ Barrett. So that's one thing. And look, the Knicks just don't have it. So it's going to be by committee that you guard the best player on the floor, or if that's a wing player, right? It's going to be by committee because you just don't have that defensive stopper on this team, in my opinion. They're going to have to play team defense. I think RJ Barrett's good at playing team defense, though, and understands that concept of playing team defense. Maybe even better than Reggie Bullock. Because I thought Reggie Bullock was a really good one-on-one defender, but sometimes I thought, he made a couple of mistakes as far as the team defense was concerned.
Yeah,
I think RJ Barrett is better playing that team defense, and maybe we get better defensively because they understand how to play team defense a little bit more. And RJ Barrett could be the catalyst to that. When you look at that starting lineup, I mean, Julius Randle, he can play defense. He proved it last year. He's going to take some plays off, which will be understandable, or at least last year was understandable with the amount of times that he had the ball in his hands. Mitchell Robinson, assuming that Mitchell Robinson is our starting center, is good defensively. He can block shots. He can switch out on guards when he needs to. And then, we got to hope that our guards and our wings can hold the fort defensively. I think that's going to be a question coming into camp. I'm going to be looking at RJ Barrett, though, to be a leader in that role defensively. Andy, what do you think?
Yeah, and this is again when I bring up the foot speed topic. If he had a little bit faster in that first step, even on defense, it would be way better for him. I don't see him, chasing around, shooting guards around those screens, like those a la Reggie Miller, plays and JJ Redick plays, Ray Allen plays. I don't think he can catch up with those guys. Those type of guys, and in current NBA, you can draw up a play for any shooting guard like that, right? When he goes after 2-3 screens, foot speed is way better than even length. He grew, up. People suspect, I think, that because I don't saw the Knicks officially say that he's 6'8", but if he's really gained the 2 inches, I'm happy with that. But like I say, I rather, see him work on that speed. And like you guys said, I don't think it's a thing. It's a skill that you can get way more faster, even if you're a young guy, right? I don't think if you just, at that level of competition, I don't think it's going to be like he can gain that speed, that amount, of speed that he needs. But, and like you said, Sim, I don't think he can switch off on ones. And definitely not on 5. So he might guard, small power forwards and, small forwards, those fast shooting guards. If they get, plays drawn especially for them, it's going to be hard for him as well. So, listen, it's going to be a hard task for him. I expect him to be one of the guys that's going to be defending the best player, but I think it's going to be more of a team defense thing.
Okay.
And Sam, real quick, last season was a team defense thing as well. Like, Reggie Bullock wasn't this, all NBA, all world defender. What I'm saying is Reggie Bullock's role, what Thibodeau used him for, was primarily for his shooting and for his defense. That's why he was on the floor at the end of the games. And an example that I brought up yesterday was when Orlando needed a bucket, they gave the ball to Evan Fournier. And, coincidentally enough, Reggie Bullock was the one to take the ball away from Evan Fournier for us to win that game. Reggie Bullock at the end of games was guarding the opposing team's best player when they needed to, stop a bucket. So that's the reason why I bring up Reggie Bullock in this situation. And based on what Sim is saying, Sim wants RJ Barrett to be that guy.
I mean, when I look at our starting lineup, I don't see who else is going to be that guy. Evan Fournier can, he can hold his own defensively, but I don't see him being lockdown defender. I don't know if RJ's a lockdown defender, but I think he's better than Evan Fournier. So I'm, saying RJ Barrett is probably going to be that guy. That'll be something that I'm definitely watching for when the preseason starts in a couple of weeks. Now, offensively, we talked about him being the fourth option, but what does that mean if he's the fourth option? Because the only person on this team that right now, well, in the starting lineup, that you can say, just give him the ball so he's going to go get you a bucket, is Julius Randle and probably Kemba Walker. I guess Evan Fournier can create a little bit, but do you see, we'll start there. Do you see RJ in that type of a situation where you're isolating and letting RJ go?
Me?
Yeah, go ahead. You.
Oh, okay. So if RJ Barrett, if the paper pans out and Kemba Walker's healthy and RJ Barrett remains the fourth option, to me, I don't think of it as an improvement, so to speak, because he has all these pieces around him that, basically can help him get better. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's not necessarily an improvement, right? So if that's his role, I think that's fine. I think that's a good problem for the Knicks to have because Fournier is a capable scorer. Kemba Walker's a capable scorer. Julius Randle's a capable scorer. And we know RJ Barrett has the potential to be that, if not more. But if he's just the fourth option on the team and he hasn't taken that next step, then, that's still a good problem for the Knicks to have. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. However, the potential's there. Everyone was saying last season that RJ Barrett didn't have that player. He didn't have that player around him. Now he does. So this is the opportunity for RJ Barrett to take that next step offensively to become something more than a fourth option. So yeah.
But what I'm asking is how is he going to be used as that fourth option? Are you going to see him isolated on the elbow sometimes, or is he going to be relegated to being, we're going to let Fournier or Kemba or Julius Randle break down the defense and kick it out to RJ? That's what I want. How are we going to use him?
I think the latter. I think it's definitely going to be the latter. If RJ Barrett is going to remain it's going to be a fourth option on this team. I think it's going to be him improving on the role that he had last season, which was, or his biggest improvement from last season, which was his 3-point shot, his ability to get the ball, get the ball kicked out to him, and his ability to knock down the 3-point shot. That's really what I think it comes down to for RJ Barrett. If he's going to remain that fourth option. Now, anything more than that, if he wants to, become a second or third option on the team, he's going to have the ball in his hands a little bit more. He's going to have to be able to create. He's going to be after his ability to get other players open, things of that nature. But as a fourth option, I think RJ Barrett pretty much can be relegated to mostly the catch and shoot, 3-pointer, putbacks because of his rebounding, things of that nature. Nothing more than that.
That I don't know. There's Andy.
To those two things, I'd add definitely he's going to get more opportunities and the ball passed to him when he's going to be finding those lines to cut to the hole. And that's, I think, a major thing because we maybe never did it last season, but we definitely weren't looking for that play. Meanwhile, I think now when Julius is going to get the ball and is going to be playmaking from the elbow or from, closer to the paint, I think because we have Kemba, because we have Fournier on the court, I think RJ or any other, wing that's going to be on the court, if it's going to be Obi, if it's going to be, Burks, I think they're going to have the opportunity to cut to the hole and get an easier, position to score. And I think that might be basically it. I don't see them passing up the ball to RJ, maybe on the baseline to let him, try to do that sidestep and take a shot. But I don't see them, posting him up and letting him, just play. And the rest is going to be standing around and just watching. So.
Yeah. Now, I mean, see, and this is where I hope that Thibodeau can find ways for RJ to get his chances to, go one-on-one and see if he can break
to activate him, right?
Yeah, to activate him. Because if we're just gonna ask him to stand out on the perimeter, catch the pass and shoot, I think he can do more than that. And I think we need to be able to use his ability to do more than just stand, catch, and shoot. Josh, you're laughing, so you don't think he can do more than that?
No, I'm not saying he can't, but this is the problem with this question in a way, right? It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? It's either RJ Barrett, we're comfortable with what RJ Barrett is doing. Let him continue to do everything that he was doing last season. That's fine. Let him continue to progress and things of that nature. We're comfortable with that. But on the other hand, if you say that, RJ Barrett can do that, then it pretty much limits, what's the point of bringing in a point guard? What's the point of bringing in, a guy like Evan Fournier who can score next to him? What's the point of that? So my thing is, like, what do we really want? Do we want RJ Barrett to take the next step, or do we want him to pretty much do everything he was doing last season?
But I'm saying, but I think you can find ways. You can give him 4 or 5 possessions a game where you let RJ see, can he just do his thing?
with Kemba Walker and Julius Randle there, and Evan Fournier.
Josh, 4 or 5
possessions
he's gonna get
a
I was
game.
thinking, like, we're talking about 15 possessions that he's just gonna get the ball and just be able to create for himself.
But the Knicks were last in the NBA in possessions last season. Where are those possessions going to come from when you add 2 other scorers?
But let me ask you a question: how many possessions are there in a game?
For the Knicks, it wasn't a lot. They were last in the NBA in possessions.
I'm saying, but I mean, you get a lot of possessions per game. You got to be able to find 4 or 5 possessions per game. That's 1 per quarter. Where you say, I'm going to give it to RJ and let him go. 1 per quarter? You can't find that.
I don't have a problem with that. I personally don't have a problem with that. But again, it's either you want RJ Barrett to continue doing what he was doing last season, or you accept the fact that the Knicks got some better players that are better than him and let them take the bulk of the offense so RJ Barrett doesn't have to do that. This is the dilemma that we're talking about. What do we really want from RJ Barrett? Do we want him to be a role player, essentially, a 4th option? Is that something that we're comfortable with? Or do we want him to take the next step?
But I'm saying, but you can
have it both ways.
But you can let him be, if he's going to be the 4th option, you can he's the 4th option. And I don't think Tom Thibodeau was going into the season saying 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think it's going to happen naturally once they get out there on the floor, right? It's just going to happen. But if he does become the guy that's considered the 4th option, the only way that you can find out can he become more than that is to give him those chances. And I think you can toe the line a little bit by giving him a couple chances per game. Think about this. Mitchell Robinson had plenty of chances to shoot a mid-range jump shot. He chose not to, right? But he had plenty of chances. There will be plenty of chances for RJ to get the ball and say, okay, let me see if I can go one-on-one and get a bucket, right? And if he's doing it and he's doing it well, then those chances increase, right?
Do you think he's going to have more chances to do that this season than he did last season?
No, probably not. Probably not. But I don't think that you just say we're just gonna, like last year, Reggie Bullock really never had a chance to go one-on-one. He wasn't going to go one-on-one. It was basically Reggie Bullock was going to catch the ball in the corner or on the wing and shoot it. The only other thing that he would do is throw a little pump fake, take a dribble, and pull up the mid-range jump shot. I don't want RJ Barrett just doing that. I don't think that's a good use of his skills.
And that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Of course, like what Andy was saying, there's going to be cuts where RJ Barrett's going to get the ball. There's going to be other opportunities for RJ Barrett to score. But again, we're talking about if he's going to be a 4th option, right, which people seem to be comfortable with, or is he going to be something more than that, meaning a 2nd or 3rd option? So is it based off the personnel, or is it based off what RJ his play? So that's the question. That's the issue with this question. What do we really want from RJ Barrett? We don't want him to be a 4th option. We want him to be something more than that. But yet at the same time, we don't want him to do too much because he doesn't have to. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, what do we really want?
I want him to grow and develop naturally. And I mean, you're laughing at that, but when you but when you grow and develop naturally, you move up through the ranks. So as your skill set grows, you take on a bigger role within the basketball game, right? So once they get into training camp, they'll see you to say, okay, he might get into training camp and nobody can stop him. And they're like, hey, we got to throw this guy the ball. You never know. Right. But either way, you got to see I want to see his skill set grow naturally. I don't want to just pigeonhole him to say you're just going to be a spot up shooter. I want to see him be able to grow. Yep. Go ahead, Andy.
I got a question. Does activating RJ counts for plays like he gets the ball after somebody else, does a little bit playmaking? He gets the ball and he pump fakes, gets that step on that defender and decides to drive or just stop and pop. Does that mean activating RJ, or activating means like, listen, RJ, have the ball on the 45-degree, angle, go to work?
See, I think that what the latter that you just said is part of really activating RJ, because I think probably most players in the NBA can catch it, pump fake, take that dribble, and pull up. I want to see RJ because I think the next step in his development is going to be his ability to score one-on-one. Not that we want our team to be a one-on-one team,
Right.
but when the offense breaks down, you got to have players that can create.
And get you a bucket.
And get you a bucket. And we want
Yes.
RJ to develop to be one of those guys on this team. So I think, there's got to be times throughout a game that we give it to him and say, let's see what he can do.
But Sim, you don't think that's rushing the process a little bit? You don't think that's rushing him naturally?
But when else are you going to find out if he can do it? I'm not saying give it to him.
No, because I've been saying that, and people been saying I'm rushing the process.
No. I don't. I don't think that giving him the ball 4 or 5 times a game and letting him go one-on-one or if the shot clock is running down, say, okay, it's RJ's time to go or something like that. I don't think that's rushing it. I think that's seeing, okay, can he do it? And if he's successful, you do it more. If he's not successful, then maybe you say, okay, we're going to keep you at 4 and 5 times per game until you are able to do it better and able to have success doing it. I don't think that's rushing him.
Or if it becomes a detriment to the team, meaning he's not getting it done with those 4 to 5 opportunities, and he is a 4th option.
Well, I mean, then I guess you learn a lot about him too. If he's not getting it done, then you say, okay, well, maybe this guy can't get it done, or maybe he needs more time. You know what I mean? But, you got to find time. If you don't give him a chance to do it, then you're never going to know, because you can see him do it in practice all day. You got to see it happen in the game.
Okay, Sim, I got another question. Then if you were the coach, would you rather give him the ball, around the 3-point area, or rather, put him closer to the paint?
I'd like to put him
in this situation.
I'd like to put him closer to the paint, especially in this situation.
Yeah.
I like to put him.
Me too.
Yep, elbow area down and let him go to work in there.
Yeah, and not only to mention that, Kemba and Fournier can create up top, right? Meanwhile, you got only Julius that can do it down low, because Mitch isn't a threat down low. And if you want to, throw him the ball down there and make him work. So I think, RJ should think about working, on that back to the basket, game.
Yeah. So I got a question that's definitely going to raise, and the chat's going to get mad at me and all this kind of stuff. Everyone's going to get mad at me, except for maybe the guys on the panel today. Right. Right. But, well, here, I'll soften the blow. I'm going to soften the blow. Should RJ play minutes with the bench? I'm not saying come off the bench. I'm saying, should he play minutes with the bench players? Right? Because if you have some minutes where he's playing instead of Alec Burks, now he has a bigger role in that offense with the bench. A much bigger role. He's a second or third option. Thoughts? Go ahead, Josh. I know Josh probably doesn't want to say anything, but.
Well, listen, I wanted RJ Barrett to get some bench minutes last season, particularly when he wasn't playing well, but I thought it was unnecessary as the team started to get better. So, it probably will be unnecessary. But if he is a 4th option and he isn't getting it done with those 3 to 4 ISO possessions per game, and he's not being effective in the starting lineup, I really don't see an issue with making that a possibility, particularly if you got 2 other scorers outside of Julius Randle in the starting lineup who can carry the load as far as playmaking and scoring is concerned. Mm-hmm. And let's say perhaps we were lacking something on the bench. I don't see any issue with that being RJ Barrett's role. And, it could either be RJ Barrett, it could be, I doubt it'll be Evan Fournier, maybe Kemba Walker, if he's not fully healthy, maybe he'll get some minutes coming off the bench and you start Derrick Rose. So I guess multiple ways you can do it. Last season, it wasn't necessary. He showed that it wasn't necessary. But on this kind of team, if RJ Barrett is the 4th option and, it's not really happening for him, and, because of the players that are around him, I don't see how it can hurt.
So now let me be clear, right? For the people that's in the chat, like, oh my gosh, here we go, and da-da-da-da-da. What I'm saying is, you start RJ Barrett. He plays his 6 minutes or whatever it is, however Tom Thibodeau divvies it up. And then he goes out at the 6-minute mark of the first quarter. And then he comes back maybe at the top of the second quarter, but the bench is in at the time that he comes back. So he gets minutes with the bench where he has an increased role in the offense. This is what I'm saying to, those in the chat that, think that we're trying to reduce RJ's role out here. No, I'm not trying to reduce it. I want to increase it. Right? But it's a good way for him to have a bigger role in the offense by putting him on the floor with Quickly, Rose, and then RJ Barrett. Right? And then you got Obi Toppin and Nerlens Noel out there on the floor. There's a bigger role for RJ Barrett now. And now he can get the ball and be able to, be maybe the focal point of that offense in that, with the second unit. It's all about staggering minutes and staggering players. So if you bring him out at 6 minutes and then you bring him back in, at 10 minutes or 9 minutes left in the second quarter, and now he's playing with the bench unit. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying there. So people don't get frantic, don't go crazy. We're not trying to take him. I'm not trying to take him out the starting lineup. Just suggesting that maybe he can, because there's more firepower in the starting unit, he could play some minutes with the second unit and have more chances to shoot the basketball. Andy, what do you think?
I think these fans that think that RJ should be only playing with the starters, mistake that. I realize that RJ is from Canada and, hockey is popular in Canada. They think that we're going to swap out 5 for 5, every time. I don't think that's going to be happening with Tibbs. So, listen, I think he's definitely going to get burned with the younger squad, not only because he's younger, but I also think that playing with D-Rose would benefit him more, and being, playing a little bit faster pace, him getting those, go ahead, at least a couple of dribble, getting the ball while he's in motion, playing down, hill. That's going to benefit his game offensively, not to mention the thing that you said, that he's going to probably be a second option or the first option playing with the second unit, right? So, I think not only the style of the game that the bench is playing, but also that, the staggering minutes is going to happen. Listen, we're not going to be subbing 5 guys for 5 guys, and it's going to be 30 minutes the first unit, 18 minutes the second unit. So it's definitely going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen. As a matter of fact, I know last year I was a big proponent of never having one of Julius Randle, right, or RJ Barrett off the floor. I always wanted to have one of those guys on the floor. It's going to be different this year, but I always wanted to have one of those guys on the floor. Let's go in the opposite direction. Before we get there, before we get to the opposite side of the coin, we talked about him playing, with the second unit. We're going to go opposite side of the coin in a second. But before we get there, what are your expectations for RJ Barrett this year? Josh, I'll start with you.
I expect RJ Barrett to continue to improve. I think a lot of it, a lot of it's going to be on him. His, improvement, and his, whether he be the 4th, 3rd, 2nd, option on the team. A lot of that's going to be on him. But it's also going to depend on whether Kemba's healthy, whether Evan Fournier is able to, fully get settled into his role in the offense. I think that plays a big part in what RJ Barrett is going to be able to do. Ultimately, if all those guys are healthy, I think that can only be better for RJ Barrett. So I expect RJ Barrett to improve. And like I said, either he's the 4th option, everything is going well, and everyone else is playing well, everyone else is healthy, and they're doing their thing, and RJ Barrett is the 4th option, or he takes that next step and he becomes the 2nd option, which potentially could mean all-star, right? So I don't think it's too much to expect all-star from RJ Barrett this particular season. I don't think that's crazy. I don't think that's out of the realm.
That was actually where I was going to get to on the flip side of the coin. Can he be an all-star this season? This season, can he be an all-star? That was my flip side of the coin. Can RJ Barrett make the all-star? And I'm going to tell you what, I don't even want to say it's the flip side of the coin. I think if you give him chances with that second unit, it increases the chances of him at least being mentioned as an all-star, because he's going to get more. He's going to play a bigger role, have more looks at the basket, more possessions with the ball in his hand.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Again, it just depends on how the season shakes out. It's going to be a lot of it's going to be on RJ, but a lot of it's going to depend on those other guys. And either way, it's fine. Whether RJ Barrett's a 4th option, I think that's a good problem for the Knicks to have, because Fournier and Kemba Walker are, 1, healthy, and 2, they're performing well. So there's nothing wrong with RJ Barrett being the 4th option. Or RJ Barrett takes that next step into all-star level, and now we got 2 all-stars instead of 1. And I think in the long term, that can help this team out as far as will we go in the playoffs?
Right.
So either way, I'm fine with it. It just depends on how you want to do it. So I'm not an RJ hater. Everyone that's out there in the chat saying I'm an RJ hater, all I do is hate RJ because I just gave you both sides of it, and it's either damned if you do, damned if you don't. I can't pick a side and be right. So there you go.
Yeah, and I'm looking in the chat. Rich Jim said the RJ disrespect is ridiculous here. I don't know who's disrespecting RJ. I don't think anyone's disrespecting him. We just said that we just talked about the possibility of him being an all-star. How's that disrespect? How is that disrespect? What's his name? Slim Jim? Rich Jim. How is that disrespect? Slim Rich Jim. I'm trying to figure that out. We're not disrespecting RJ. We're just talking about his game. Not disrespecting the man. Andy, well, actually, before I get to Andy, Josh, so what is you said you want to see him continue to get better. What is your idea of him getting better?
I want to see RJ Barrett become that second option. And I think it definitely could be likely considering the fact that we don't know. It's a lot of question marks around Kemba Walker. Well, he was a second option last year. Let me not say that. When I say second option, I mean, his ability to potentially make an all-star team and get over that 20-point hump and things of that nature. That's what I want to see from RJ Barrett. That's the next step for him. The next step for RJ is not just playing a role within the offense, within the Thibodeau style of offense. The next step for RJ Barrett is he can be able to play a role in the offense, and also at the same time, when this team needs a bucket, when we're down by 2 in the fourth quarter, RJ Barrett can go get that. The Knicks can depend on him to go out and get that bucket, and that's what I want to see from RJ Barrett. That's always what I want to see.
So what is your, what kind of point per game production, rebounding production do you look at to say he's making progress?
I would say 20 to 21, 7 and 6.
Do you think it's tougher with the line with the offensive personnel we have now? Do you think it's tougher for him to accomplish those numbers?
No, I don't think that's tough at all. Would I be upset if he doesn't get to those numbers? No, because again, if he doesn't, that means everybody else is performing really well. I don't think it's tough at all for him to get to those numbers. I think that's very doable. 21 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. That's absolutely doable for RJ Barrett.
Okay. All right. Andy, same questions.
Let me go from the back. I think number wise, I think he's definitely gonna be over 20 points. I'm thinking even more, maybe even above 22. Why? Because I think he will get way more efficient with this kind of lineup. Meaning he will get easier, ways and spots to score the ball. Mm-hmm. Rebound wise, I would love him to be at least at 8. And that's because I think he's a great rebounder. Not only defense, I think, and offense. And I think, him having the court spread in on offense is going to be easier to get that 1, even 2 rebounds offensively more. And I think he was averaging about around 6 rebounds last season. So I think, 8 is really a capable number. Meanwhile, assist-wise, I think it's going to be around 4. Maybe a steal a game, or maybe even like 1.5 steals a game. I think that's going to be awesome. For me, listen, even if we label him a 4th option, I think he's the 2nd man that's able to get to the All-Star game from the current Knicks. I don't see Evan Fournier or Kemba Walker getting to the All-Star game before RJ, and they still might be higher on the totem pole when it's the game is on the line, when they're going to get the ball and stuff like that. But I think RJ has more of the potential to get to the All-Star game than those guys.
Yeah, he's got I think he's got more intangibles, right?
Yeah,
and then he can do some other things, rebound the basketball. I think he has good, he has a good court sense, good court vision, those type of things. So, given that we have more offensive weapons, his assist totals might go up as well if he's used the correct manner. And then when you look at Kemba and Evan Fournier, I think by far and away is going to be the best defender. between those three players, him, Evan Fournier, and Kemba Walker. I think he's the best defender. So, yeah, I get what you're saying there. What production do you look to see from RJ this year, Andy, as far as point totals and things like that?
Yeah, like I said, it's going to be above 20, around 8 rebounds, and I think 4 assists. I think 5 or 6 assists is going to be really tough for him to get.
Okay.
The Knicks will have to be a really efficient team for every of our, starting player basically having, averaging around 6 assists. So
yeah,
I think, 4 is going to be fine. I think he might be the best, defender, like in the steal category for the Knicks. Because, I think he's going to be cutting those lanes and stuff like that. So I'm guessing like 1.4, 1.3 steals a game, maybe a block a game even.
Okay.
Like 0.8, something like that. So,
and see, I'm one of these people that I'm not upset if RJ doesn't average 21 or 22 points per game this year.
Yeah, I'm not going to be upset as well.
Right? Yeah, I'm not upset at that. As long as his percentages are good. That's what I'm concerned about. If RJ still averages 17 and 18 a game, but he's shooting 48% from the field and he's shooting 40% from three, that's great because now you're playing, supposedly, should be playing with a better team with more offensive weapons, but then you have, I won't even say equal production, better production than the previous year because your percentages are better. If he's getting to the line and shooting more free throws, even if he's still only averaging 18 a game, but those numbers are, ticking up. I think he's improving and getting better.
I think, Slim, if you ask me about the efficiency, the percentages, I think he's going to be easy around 50%. It's going to be even above 50% as far as I see it.
From the field?
Yeah, from the field, because I think he's going to get so many easy buckets and looks and open looks to the basket. I think it's going to be 50. I'm not going to say 60 because 60 is like for the percentage is like for centers,
for big men.
Just that would be crazy. But I think 50 is really reachable for him.
Okay, all right. I would love to see him shooting 50% from the field. If he could. If last season RJ Barrett shot 44.1% from the field. He shot 40% from three, 74.6% from the free throw line. If he can shoot 50% from the field, continue to shoot 40% from three, and then raise that free throw percentage up to 80, 85%, you're looking at a guy that on less touches could average between 18 and 20 points per game on less touches, because those percentages are higher. But even if he's still averaging 17 to 18, he averaged 17.6 points per game last year. If he's averaging 17 to 18, but his percentages are higher, I won't be upset. That'd be great for me. Be great for me. I want to ask the question about his chances to make the All-Star team this year, or if not this year, or at least be mentioned this year. We know, he's going to get some votes because he plays for the Knicks, so he's going to get votes. All right, but, I want to talk about that. But let me get to a phone call first. Phone lines are open, ladies and gentlemen, 516-405-2246. Let me get to a phone call. Caller, you live. What's popping? Your name, where you from?
Oh, it's, the star of the show. Had to call in real quick.
Caller, you live. What's popping? Give me your name and where you're from.
I said my name. I'm the star of the show. You know who I am.
I'll say it one more time before I hang up. Caller, you live. What's popping? Give me your name and where you're from.
How you doing? This Isaiah from, Connecticut.
What's going on, man?
But, can I say something, Sim? First of all, I'm mad at you, Sim.
For what?
I'm mad at you.
Happy birthday, Isaiah. Happy birthday.
Oh yeah. Happy belated, bro.
Happy birthday, Isaiah. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
I sent you a message. I sent you a message on Facebook.
What you say?
I sent you a message on Facebook on one of them ugly pictures that you posted.
First of all, my pictures are great. First of all,
but can you get to the point instead of looking for out here searching for love?
Yeah. We still talking about RJ?
Yeah, that's the whole show. It's about RJ.
Yeah, I mean,
did you read the title of the show?
Me me personally, I think RJ took Josh Girl because he hates him so much. But I think with RJ this year, I believe he's going to be an all-star. That's one of my predictions. I think he's going to be. To me, he's going to be the second option for the Knicks this year, and I really do believe he can give us. I believe he can give us the 20 to 21.7 rebounds, 4 to 5 assists. I believe he can do that. And that's what I think with RJ, man. I don't think to me, when it comes to him being a fourth, I don't see them being a fourth option. I still think this team is going to be built around RJ and Julius Randle. I just think I think Kemba this year. I feel like Kemba's going to have the role of being more of a facilitator. He's going to score when he needs to, but I think he's going to really focus on getting those guys the ball and making sure that they get easier shots. Because last year, they were struggling to me to get easy shots. Like, again, a lot of Julius Randle shots were very, some they were difficult fadeaways and all those shots. And then RJ never played with a point guard of this caliber of Kemba Walker. So I think, with some people saying fourth option, I'm seeing a really great second option this year for RJ.
Isaiah, can I ask you a question real quick? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Josh.
All right, let me ask you a question, right? So when I was saying that RJ Barrett can potentially be an all-star next season, right? And I was saying that's what I want to see from RJ Barrett, him become an all-star and take that next step. And y'all were telling me I'm rushing him, I'm rushing the process. You right there, everything that you just said about what RJ Barrett could potentially do, that's what I've been saying. But y'all were telling me, no, he doesn't need to do that. He doesn't need to do that because that's not who he is. So which one is it? Is RJ Barrett going to be an all-star or is he not? And if he is going to be an all-star, what's wrong with saying that and wanting him to live up to those expectations?
Well, George, I think your problem is that when he was struggling, you tried to, when he was struggling last year around that, when he had that tough start in the early season, I feel like you were being highly critical of him. And what we were saying last year to you were, it's early in the season, calm down, he'll be fine. Again, at the time, he was I think he was 20, if I'm not mistaken. And, people, early in the NBA season, you have players that come out hot. Like a couple years ago, we remember Tim Hardaway Jr. came out hot. He looked like a great second option. And then what happened? He cooled down. And you got players that start off slow, like RJ, and then they. All
right, Isaiah, hold on, real quick. Let me just ask you something. Based on your expectations for RJ Barrett, you said you expect RJ Barrett to be an all-star based on everything you said, Kemba, all of that. If RJ Barrett starts off the season, this upcoming season, the same way he did last season, right? You're not gonna feel some type of way, even though you had those expectations for RJ Barrett being an all-star.
I mean, everybody starts off different. So, Josh, there's all-stars that start off slow. There's some players that start off slow, but it's okay as long as you pick it up. Again, right? I think there were a lot of factors that had that in. Again, the certain players that were here last year that played with RJ aren't here this year. He has He has better players around him. He has better spacing around him. Literally, the only one that really can't shoot.
So he has no excuse, right?
But let me ask you this. Because while he does have better players around him, he also has players that's going to shoot the ball more. Evan Fournier is going to shoot the ball more than Reggie Bullock. Kemba Walker is going to shoot the ball more than Elfrid Payton. All right, so that's definitely going. And both of those guys, in my opinion, are better scorers than RJ Barrett at the moment. All right, now I do believe that Kemba Walker is going to be a little bit more of a facilitator this year because of the options that he has around him and, his knee injuries and stuff like that. But when it comes down to it, Kemba Walker can score the basketball. He's going to go and try to score the basketball when the opportunity presents itself. So while he does have a better point guard that he's playing with, he's got a point guard that's going to shoot more shots as well. You know what I'm saying? So what is it about Kemba Walker that you think is going to make RJ Barrett a better player? Because I don't see RJ Barrett being the kind of player where you need the point guard to create for you all the time.
But the only thing is why I say that is that, no, I do agree with you. RJ doesn't need the point guard, but he's never had, since he's played since college to New York up until now, he hasn't had a point guard.
But that's what I'm asking you. That's what I'm asking you. What is it that Kemba Walker's going to do that's going to help RJ Barrett?
I think it sounds crazy to say, but to me, it's not even just all about his passing. I think his scoring will help him be able to get easier shots. Because again, right, RJ's never had this kind of point guard where since like the last couple of years.
We get that. We get that. I get that part. I get that part. You said it like 20 times. I'm asking you what Kemba's going to do.
Well, no. What it's going to do is that you won't be able to double team no more.
Okay.
You won't be able just to sag off. You won't be able just to focus on Randall. I don't want to say it's like Steph Curry because again Steph Curry's not the greatest passer. It's more of his scoring ability that makes it easier for other players around him to score. But it's kind of going to be like that, but on a way less level. So I don't want people to say I'm comparing RJ to Kemba Walker, which I will never do. But what I'm saying is that what Kemba's scoring ability is going to make it easier for RJ to get those shots.
Kemba Walker's an all-star. Remember?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. You meant you're not comparing RJ or Kemba to Steph Curry. That's what you're trying to say. Isaiah, I'm gonna let you go, man, because I got some other people that's calling in. I don't want you to keep getting tongue-tied. All right, I don't want you to keep getting tongue-tied because you're losing me a little bit. All right, let me get to another phone call here. Caller, you live. What's popping with you? Your name, where you from?
Peace and love, Tim. It's your boy Evergreen G. Soundviews in the building. We know what's going on. How you doing today?
I'm good, my brother. I'm good. We're talking about RJ Barrett, right? And we've been through what his role is going to be on the team, and what we expect from him production wise. Now we're talking about his ability to be, if not make the All-Star team, be considered for an All-Star team. Do you think he has that ability this season to be considered as an All-Star, or
I wouldn't say
mentioned?
This season. I don't think this season. I gotta see what he can do off the dribble first. I think that's really the off the dribble thing is really the one thing that we needed to see from RJ, and as far as creating his own shot, and I think now he has the opportunity to do that based off of the space provided from Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker. So, but I don't want to call it too early and say this young guy could be an all-star season 3. I'm not ready for that just yet. I got to see what he can do off the dribble. If you look at the majority of the all-stars at the guard position, there's no all-star at the guard position that is just the guy that he shows promise shooting and rebounding. Like all of the guard position guys and even the small forward guys are all guys that can create their own shot off the dribble. So I haven't seen him do it yet. We've seen a couple sidestep threes and within the Canada League and him playing for the Canada team and all that. So I'm not ready to say that he's just going to be doing it all willy-nilly in the in the NBA. But the next step before I say that he's going to be that all-star is going to be consistency with him creating his own shot off the dribble. And that's it.
Okay. Do you think that he is second, third, fourth option this year?
No. I think, and it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with his skill set per se. I think it has everything to do with. I feel like those three between RJ, Evan Fournier, and Kemba Walker. I feel like their load is going to be, they're going to be able to take on a load very, very easily, between the three of them. Maybe towards the end of the season, you might look at him and seeing him becoming a second option, just because Tibbs already has familiarity with him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the confidence that Kemba Walker displays on a night-to-night basis, and the confidence that Evan Fournier has put in and shown as of recently, I think that's gonna allow the three of them to, on any given night, be that guy. Not RJ is the guy that's taking. I mean, let's be real. Like RJ wasn't closing out games like that. He wasn't even in a lot of the big name games that we wanted him to be. So he's not there yet. But Tibbs has familiarity with him, But I think Tibbs sees what Kemba Walker brings and what Evan Fournier brings, and I think that evens out the load. Julius Randle's going to be the number one, obviously, until otherwise, if otherwise. But I think RJ's familiarity is going to work with him, but I don't think the other two are going to take it back to RJ. I don't think that's happening.
Okay, and I think you bring up a good point. I want to ask Andy. Do you think instead of us, we're all worried about, first, second, third, fourth option. Julius Randle is probably your bona fide first option for this team here. Maybe, like Evergreen is saying, for that second, third, fourth options, there's not really a second, third, or fourth option. It's just kind of, whoever's hot that night. We're playing by committee. And this is how we're getting it done. Do you think maybe that's the style of offense that Tibbs will conduct this season when it comes to this team? Because you got those, you got guys in those three that can score the basketball. Evan Fournier and RJ Barrett, maybe have, I don't want to say similar games, but they can do some of the same things. Evan Fournier maybe a little bit more fluent. RJ Barrett is still getting there. Maybe they have that kind of an offense. What do you think, Andy?
Well, that would be my choice in the perfect world, but I was thinking that on this panel we gotta pick a side.
That's what I'm saying. That's my point. That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
but to be true, I think that would be the perfect option. Just to play, after Julius, probably do the hybrid thing, and depending, as who is currently the most efficient, as most fans say, on fire, and I think that would be perfectly, and that would get us the most W's for the season. That's for sure.
Yep.
But you know how I feel about this. Shooting guards got to shoot out the slump and stuff like that. No, that's for practice for me. But we're gonna see that in games with Fournier and probably with Kemba. So,
okay, all right.
Can
Go ahead, Josh. Go ahead, Josh.
Real quick, I just want to say I agree with Andy. I think that is a great solution for the Knicks to have. If that's going to be the case, Milwaukee Bucks, that was their kind of formula, right? Chris Middleton wasn't always, the Chris Middleton. I know he was an all-star, but he missed a lot of, shots, in important games. And then it had to be Jrue Holiday to step up, and other guys that they had to step up to fill that void. So I think that's an absolute possibility for the Knicks this season. But in a situation like that, Julius Randle has to take his game to another level than what it's already on, right? He has to really propel this team and then get those contributions from the other guys to really have the Knicks do something. That's going to definitely help us win games. No question. I have some playoff series.
Okay. All right. Hey, Evergreen, I appreciate the time, man. And I didn't get a chance to give you a call back. I'm going to give you a call back later on today. All right, man. It's going to be interesting to see, how it all works out with this offense this year. You know what I mean? And how RJ fits in. And I think it's definitely a legitimate question, to ask about RJ and, how he fits in with the additions on the team. The one thing I'll say, I don't know if he's going to be an all-star this year. Within the next couple of years, I do think he will be. I think he's going to. And even if he is a fourth option this season, I don't think he'll be that for long. I still think it's a growing and learning process for RJ. You know what I mean? I think there's something to be said, that he came to a team that, wasn't close to making the playoffs. And then in the second season, the team makes the playoffs. And I'm not saying it's all about RJ, but he's part of that. You know what I mean? And the Knicks should make the playoffs this year and hopefully in the foreseeable future. And that's going to look good on his resume that he came and the team turned around, partly because of his play, partly because of his mindset and the type of player that he is and the work ethic and those type of things, that he brings to the table. We'll see. We'll see. He's working. We'll say that. He is working. He's working very hard. And I do want to remind everybody, the opening night game is coming up in about a month and a half, ladies and gentlemen. And if you don't have tickets, I have about 8 tickets remaining They're $170 a pop. All right, you get a Quentin Grimes rookie card. You get a Miles McBride rookie card. You get to hang out with everybody that's there from the NBK panel. We'll have a live podcast beforehand, a live podcast afterwards. We'll do some pregame events together, lunch, and some things like that. So make sure that you get a ticket and join us. All right, the tickets are in section 212, row 23 and 24. All right, so if you want to get one of those last 8 tickets, I'm putting a link in the chat right now. Make sure you get one of those tickets. Again, it's $170 a piece, and all the information that I just explained is right there. When you click on that link, it's right there so that you can see it all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so make sure you get in with us. We want to see you there. All right. Josh, any last thoughts about RJ Barrett?
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's either RJ Barrett's going to become an all-star, and if you don't think he's going to become an all-star, you're an RJ hater, or RJ Barrett's going to be, a fourth option. That's what we want him to be. We're comfortable with him being the fourth option. So which one do you want? Do you want RJ Barrett to be more than a fourth option, or are you content with him being a fourth option? That's the question Knicks fans have to ask themselves. Me, I always want more, right? I want RJ Barrett to take that step and to go into that next role. Is it possible on this team? Yes, some things have to happen. Can it happen? Absolutely. But, either way, I'll be fine with RJ Barrett next season.
Okay. Andy, I almost called you Mark because I see Mark talking. I see Mark saying whatever he's saying in the chat. I don't know what Mark's talking about. I see who's Mark saying whatever. Andy, go ahead.
Listen, I'm going to be happy with basically any Knicks player if the result of the team is going to be what I expect, which is, at least the top 6 in the East. I'm not going to be mad, at RJ if he's going to be scoring 15 points a game, or if he's going to be scoring 20 points a game or stuff like that. If the basketball game is going to be played correctly and how I like it, I'm going to be fine with that. I already have, my attention to a certain player, which I feel that he might play not the way I love the game, but that's not RJ. So let's leave it for another show.
Yeah, and one last thing before we do get out of here, and you can just give me a one word, not a one word, I guess a 2-word if you're gonna say the first and last name, 2-word answer on who you think RJ's ceiling is in the NBA. Andy, I'll start with you.
Let me get two names out. I think DeMar DeRozan, but like that in the best years of his career. And Kawhi would be a reach, but I think a little bit better defensively, Jason Tatum is reachable for RJ, I think.
Okay. Josh?
I think the early comparisons are going to be like Jimmy Butler, Luol Deng, guys like that. I really like the Andre Iguodala comparison. I thought that was a really good one that was brought up yesterday. So those would be my 3, the ones that and you said Paul Pierce. I know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Paul Pierce is my ceiling for RJ. That's my ceiling. I think he can go as high as Paul Pierce. I think they play the same style of basketball game. I think they have the same body type, the same, neither one was uber athletic or had this uber amount of speed. They're going to, Paul Pierce utilized footwork and he utilized skill and craftiness to score the basketball. And I think RJ Barrett's going to do the same thing. I think that's his ceiling. I didn't say he's going to be Paul Pierce. I think that's his ceiling. I think that's where he could go, in my opinion.
I think Paul Pierce, game was at least for the eye was too lazy for RJ. I think he's going to scramble for the ball more.
Okay.
Paul Pierce was playing off his swagger too early in his career. RJ is not going to, be willing to play that kind of, basketball, I think. And I think, Paul Pierce would have the advantage with the clutch gene. I think, those last second shots, Paul Pierce was one of top of the league.
Yeah.
But I think RJ might not have it at this point of his career. But they like you said, the game is probably similar for those guys.
Okay, Kodak Touch. You said Pierce was husky as hell, or whatever ASL is. I don't know. I mean, when Paul Pierce was 37 years old, he was, but when he was younger, he wasn't that husky. He wasn't that husky. You got to go back and look at him when he was younger. So no, I'm not wilding. Go back and look at Paul Pierce and see how Paul Pierce played the basketball game, and then look at RJ Barrett and see how he played the basketball game. And if you talk about a guy who's husky, isn't Paul Pierce like, I mean, he's one of the top scorers ever in the NBA or something like that.
He is.
For a husky guy. So, yeah, he's a Hall of Famer for a husky guy. But I do think they have, the same body type, and I think they have, very, very similar skill sets in the way that they play the basketball game. So, yeah, I put my ceiling at Paul Pierce for RJ Barrett. See if you can get there. Anyway, who's Mark? For all your talking, you put his ceiling at Luol Deng, who was a fourth option. Right?
What, wasn't he an all-star though?
He was an all-star twice. He was an all-star twice.
Yeah.
He never averaged over 20 points per game in his career though. He played for a really good team with, Joakim Noah and Derrick Rose and Carlos Boozer and them guys. So, but I think RJ has the potential to be better than that, in my opinion. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here. Great conversation. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you. And, I know RJ is going to be one of those guys this year that is an enigma with the New York Knicks. We get one every single season. This year's RJ, ladies and gentlemen. We're out. Peace. Don't forget to get those tickets,
nothing but Knicks. When send past the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.